stream to catch up to me to test the audio and make sure the sound is playing through. So I just need the stream to come on. I guess I'm going to have to refresh the page because it doesn't want to come on. And we have sound. Excellent. All right, and casting on Dementia Radio now and recording in 3, 2, 1.
Recorded live on DementiaRadio.org, it's the Funny Music Podcast, brought to you by FuMP.com, where you can download new free comedy songs twice a week. Now, here's your hosts, Devo Spice and the great Luke Ski.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the FuMPCast. This is Devo Spice. The great Luke Ski will not be joining us tonight. He's off at an industry event for animation and stuff. So hopefully he will have a nice evening. With me is Eric Arnold of Burblesbelly. Welcome, Eric.
Thank you very much.
It didn't
Great to be here.
It didn't cut to you for some reason. Keep talking.
Oh, it's great to be here. Thanks so much. It's very exciting for me.
There we go.
And I'm all the way out in Washington State.
All right. So welcome to episode 728 of the Funny Music Podcast for Thursday, May 30th, 2024. The title of this week's episode is A Plucky Rattle. And your job, should you choose to accept it, is to try to work that title into our conversations somehow. Just because it's a stupid thing we do every single week.
Okay,
so,
a plucky rattle.
Yes.
Okay.
All right. So, let's do the catch-up thing.
Let's get caught up with what Devo and Luke have been up to since last week. Or else Devo, if Luke bailed and didn't show up.
Hey, what? Oh, he's right.
It's funny that we have that intro because Luke doesn't bail on me all that much, but he did bail this week. So, anyway, this week I've been diving into these two online courses that I am taking, and those are kind of taking up the bulk of my time right now. But I did have two webinars this week for acting, both with two different talent agents, and the first night, they brought me into the room to do my scene, and as soon as I started, my internet connection crapped out. So then my teacher, instead of putting me back into the breakout room in Zoom, removed me from the meeting. And that was when I learned that Zoom's default setting is if the organizer removes you from a meeting, you're not allowed back in. So we had to figure out what to do. And then, so what he ended up doing was, after everyone else had gone, he ended the call and then started a new call and then got me back on, so I was able to do the scene. The second night went better as far as the technology goes. The agent was just giving a lot of advice that my teacher didn't agree with. So, at the end of the night, we all hopped back on Zoom, and my teacher was just raving about this woman. So it was fun. Besides that, I've been starting to focus a bit more on FuMPFest because I realized I am way behind on planning. And all of that can be talked about in much more detail on the new episode of The Insider that drops tomorrow in the feed. So look forward to that. Mic is a bit loud. I wonder if that's my mic or if it's the entire thing, because I did turn that entire volume thing up a little bit. Let me turn it back down to where it was. That was... I probably can't while I'm casting. Never mind. All right. So, Eric, what have you been up to? Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. Just a little bit about me, I suppose. I'm a retired school teacher, spent 30 years teaching school, loved it, retired in 2018 right before COVID, and began writing songs a couple years ago, writing songs again a couple years ago. After taking that 30-year break, I wrote quite a few in college and played in some bands in the interim. But when I got back to it, I was really drawn to kind of some lighter themes, and that's how the Sasquatch song that's posted on your site came about. Just finding some kind of fun, light themes to play around with for the songs that I'm writing now.
Cool. All right, so speaking of the Sasquatch song, why don't we give it a listen, and then we'll talk to you about it. So here is An Average Sasquatch at Large by Burblesbelly.
1, 2, 3, 4. I'm out here creeping, hiding, peeping, hoping no one knows. I see the hikers and mountain bikers in their stretchy clothes. They try to find me, looking for footprints in the ground. Sneak up behind me, I do my best to not be found. I live my life on the run. I know I'm guilty of that charge, but I don't wanna have my picture in the paper. I'm just an average Sasquatch at large. I see the strangers and the park rangers in their smoky hats, giving their lectures and their conjectures about my habitats. Just for the record, I like to hang out where I eat, down by the river where I can soak my giant feet. I live my life on the run. I know I'm guilty of that charge, but I don't wanna have my picture in the paper. I'm just an average Sasquatch at large. I live my life on the run. I know I'm guilty of that charge, but I don't wanna have my picture in the paper. I'm just an average Sasquatch at large. They've got their phones and GoPros to catch me on videos. I made my mind up, don't wanna wind up on an Animal Planet show. I live my life on the run. I know I'm guilty of that charge, but I don't wanna have my picture in the paper. I'm just an average Sasquatch at large. I live my life on the run. I know I'm guilty of that charge, but I don't wanna have my picture in the paper. I'm just an average Sasquatch at large.
Okay, so first of all, why don't you explain the name of your group?
Oh, Burblesbelly. I took a picture of my cat Burble, and he was sitting on my wife's lap, and his belly was just hanging out in all its glory. And I thought, Burblesbelly, that sounds like an interesting name. So when I started posting songs about a year ago, I just posted them as Burblesbelly, just because I thought it was kind of fun.
I love that. And it makes perfect sense now that you say it. But when it first came through the site, I was like, Burblesbelly? What? What does that mean?
Yeah. It's an unusual name, but he's kind of an unusual cat, so it seems to suit him just fine. But so that's where Burblesbelly comes from. But I have stuff up on my site under my name Eric Arnold as well. But I just really I like the Burblesbelly. It's just a kind of a fun little name.
So where did the Sasquatch song come from? What inspired that?
You know, when I wrote the changes, the chord changes, and kind of had the melody worked out, and couldn't quite figure out what the song was about, but I knew it had to be about something kind of sneaky because it felt like sort of a sneaky song. And I was taking a walk in the woods here on Whidbey Island in Washington State, and I glanced, kind of looking through the woods, and I'm thinking, this is where a Sasquatch would live if there was a Sasquatch out there. And I thought, that's it. That's what the song's about. And by the time I'd finished my walk, I had my phone with me, and I just started texting myself kind of snippets of lyrics and stuff now that I knew it was about a Sasquatch. And I thought, well, why would he be sneaking around? And I thought, because he doesn't want to be found, because he doesn't want to wind up in the paper. So that was it. But it took me a couple weeks to finally kind of dial in the words, but it was a walk in the woods. That's what inspired it.
Walk in the woods, nice. Yeah, I love that in the video, which was just a lyric video, but you explain some of the ins and outs of the song, and I love that at one point I did hear the cat, and then in the video it says, if you listen closely, you can hear that my cat burbles in the background.
Yeah. Burble is featured in just about, well, in a lot of the songs that I do. When I started recording my songs about a year ago, I just used this application that came on my phone, GarageBand, and that's the only thing I've ever used. I keep thinking maybe I need to get myself something a little more sophisticated, but it seems to do just about everything I need it to do. So it allows me to multi-track, so that's, so I can do the guitar part and add a little guitar bass and then some vocals and some harmonies and stuff, and a little lead guitar here and there. And that's about all I'm hearing in my head when I'm thinking about these songs. So it does just fine for me. But it's just a free little app that came on my phone. And that's what I've been using for the last year or so. But it's been really fun just to get these ideas out. It's just a great little hobby for a retired teacher,
Yeah, so you're just getting back into songwriting after a very long break.
Yeah, I wrote quite a few songs back when I was in high school and college, and then I started working as a school teacher, and I played in a lot of cover bands over the years. But I just didn't feel inspired to really write much. And then when I retired and we were living in Seattle. My wife and I lived in Seattle for 30 years, and then we moved up here to Whidbey Island. I kind of got inspired to begin writing more songs. But it was interesting. Maybe it was because I was retired and relaxed and really happy, love Whidbey Island, love the outdoors and everything. It seemed like every song was about like animals or my cats, or kind of light-hearted things. I think when I was, in my 20s, back in teens and 20s in high school, college, I think I was trying to write kind of more serious sort of songs. Mm-hmm. And now I think a Sasquatch is about as serious as I want to get about anything. So yeah, it was a long time. I've been playing music right straight through that period of time. But again, just cover bands, having a lot of fun. But the writing has kind of resurfaced as something I'm really interested in, and the application on the phone, really, I just kind of figured that out, and that really kind of was an inspiration too, to be able to sort of track things and stuff. So maybe I'll get inspired enough I'm not much of a technology person, but maybe I'll get inspired enough at some point to get a more sophisticated tool for recording and stuff. But for now, I'm having a lot of fun just writing these songs, and it's just absolutely, I'm delighted to be here with you, talking about this stuff. This is, so.
We're happy to have you.
Well, it's very nice. And again, I'm just giddy with excitement to be able to chat, and to think that anybody would think the songs were, interesting. I'm glad that that's happening.
Yeah, I love that after teaching for 30 years, your brain is warped enough to think, you know what, maybe funny songs is a good idea.
Yeah, I suspect that those two things are connected. It's and again, I had a great career. I loved teaching, and really, really enjoyed it. But you got to see the light side of things to the funny side of things to to keep going sometimes. And so I tried to use a lot of humor in my classroom and stuff. And I did play a lot of songs. They weren't my songs, but I had a guitar in the classroom, and so we the kids would sing. We would sing different tunes. Sometimes I taught history, so sometimes tunes that were related to particular historical eras and stuff. But yeah, I think, after 30 years, if you don't have a good sense of humor, you're probably not going to you're not going to make it through 30 years. And I did, and again, really happily so.
Especially after teaching for that long. What grade did you teach?
Mostly high school. I taught middle school for a couple years. I got started so early that it was called junior high back when I was teaching, 30 years ago at that level. But then I transferred to the high school level and stayed there for pretty much my entire career. So I think maybe 3 years at middle school, and then 27 years teaching high school history, civics, social studies generally. Yeah.
And you never wrote down any song lyrics, like while the kids were taking a test or something like that?
I may have jotted something down here and there, but I don't know. I don't think so. I mean,
because I never paid attention in high school. I was constantly writing songs all through high school.
Yeah. Well, now, I'd be lying if I said I was always focused on the lesson. There were times when my mind was drifting as well. And I suppose I must have written a few tunes over the years. No, in fact, I did. Now that I come to think of it, I was in a swing band for a while, and I wrote a couple of instrumental tunes for the swing band.
Interesting.
But the lyrics, boy, maybe a couple here and there, yeah, but not too many. It was mostly just learning my parts on the guitar and playing the and stuff, and I never sang. I mean, I never ever sang in any bands. A little bit in some rock and roll stuff that I did, but so this has been kind of fun too. I don't have a great voice, but it's fun to
it suits the song perfectly well.
Well, thank you very much. That's the other cool thing about writing songs, is you get to write songs that suit your voice and what you can do. And so this has been, like I say, kind of liberating to write tunes and to record them and to just concern myself with kind of my own sort of ideas and sensibilities about what the song needs to be. And again, it's just great that anybody wants to hear anything. I do play a little bit around the island. I gig from time to time on the island, and my deal is I'm only gonna what I want to do is just play my own stuff. As much as I just love, I'm a Beatles fanatic. I love all kinds of music, but I'm only really inspired to get out and gig if I'm playing my own stuff. So I do that from time to time. Go and play a couple sets of original tunes, and they're oftentimes, tunes about frogs and rabbits and fish and now Sasquatches. Yeah.
How does that go over in your area?
Yeah, I think it goes over okay. I think a lot of times when people are out, they're kind of just sort of hoping to hear familiar tunes, and if I'm and sometimes I'm just sort of background music, but sometimes I'm playing venues where I can kind of introduce things. And I have quite a few songs that are specific to Whidbey Island, that mention Whidbey Island landmarks and stuff, and those, and people seem to enjoy those okay. But it is absolutely just purely a hobby, and I'm loving it. I'm having a great time. It's nice to be retired and to not have to worry about bird dog and gigs and stuff. It's great to just feel inspired. Yeah.
And you retired right before COVID, so timing is perfect.
It really was. It was wild. I mean, it was 2018, June of 2018, and then 19. Halfway through the year, it kind of interesting too. A little COVID story about gigging and stuff. When COVID first came to the States, it arrived at a particular retirement home in a community east of Seattle called Kirkland, Washington. It was at this retirement community. I'm trying to think of what it was called. But I had played at that retirement community a few times with a couple different bands. So I'm watching like the whole world, the national news converge on this little retirement community in the boondocks of Kirkland, Washington, and thinking, wow, I mean, I was there, a dozen times, just entertaining folks.
Yeah.
But when it all happened that February, and that would have been February 2019, my wife and I, we could just hunker down and just, kind of wait it out. We didn't have to, I didn't have to Zoom my lessons the way many of my colleagues were doing and everything. And yeah.
Yep. It was February of 2020 because the outbreak started in late 2019 and then hit the States like in January or February of 2020, I believe. Because I had performed at MarsCon, which was the first weekend in March of 2020. And that was the last thing I did. Like a week and a half later, everything was shut down.
Yeah.
And it was wild.
Yeah. Yeah. So, 2020. Yeah, I mean, my wife and I have talked about this. It's COVID was rough, but we were, retired and we didn't have to bear as much of a burden as a lot of people,
yeah.
With businesses and, people out. I would go to the grocery store and see these people showing up every day for work. It choked me up at times thinking, somebody's got to keep the world going. And these people are just stepping into the breach, and doing it. So, and now hopefully, it's behind us. Although my wife and I had COVID over Christmas this year, it was the first bout we'd had with it, and it wasn't serious or anything. But anyway,
I think we're stuck with it from now on. It's just going to be, it's going to be flu COVID season for the rest of our, the rest of eternity.
I think so. Hopefully, it's something we don't have to pause the world for again. You know, but yeah, I retired. Well, just a little bit before COVID hit, and we just spent a couple years hunkered down on Whidbey Island, and there are not many places I think I would have rather been. We've got a beautiful island you can take go walk and see the Salish Sea and into the woods and stuff. So yeah, I didn't have it too tough. But
no, sounds nice.
Anyway, it's nice that we're getting on to the other side of it. The town that I live in is, we live in a little town called Coopville on the island here. And it's like the whole island. It's just a tourist attraction, and people are coming all the time. But of course, during COVID, things were very slow. But now, this summer in particular, last summer to some extent, but this summer in particular, it is just madness. The streets are just packed full of people all the time, which is cool. I mean, people I think are really starting to feel like the intense part of COVID is behind us.
Yeah.
And that's great. I mean, love to see things getting back to normal.
So have you put out any albums or anything like that?
No, the only thing I've got going on is I post my songs on my YouTube channel. And that's about it. And I've got, I don't know, 38 subscribers, something like that.
All right,
not a whole lot.
There you go.
But it's fun to, and I do post them on some social media. I have a Facebook page. I had put that off forever and ever and ever. I'd never done Facebook until I wanted to post them on Facebook, so I did that, and that's fun. My sister's a big Facebook fan, so she's now tapped into my music because she can see what I post there. And I've posted some stuff on Reddit. Just to get some feedback and just to get some stuff out there. And, it's fun. It's just, like I say, a hobby. I did have a guy contact me a couple days ago about the Sasquatch song, saying that he is making a film about cryptids, and he's wondering if he might use the song in his film.
Nice.
Sure, absolutely. Yeah, that's cool. I had some kids, I think they were college kids from Florida, who I have a song called More or Less about cleaning beaches and kind of keeping the ocean clean. That's about as political as I get. Let's all be opposed to pollution. I think that's a pretty safe
It's really not.
Not very controversial. I did this song called More or Less, and I had a young man, like I say, it was Florida somewhere, who contacted me to ask if he could use that song in his student video about cleaning the oceans and about, pollution generally. So I said, sure. So that's kind of fun. It's fun when people reach out like that. And it's fun to think that, again, so one of the cool thing about the internet, I mean, you post stuff up, and I've had, people from all over the place say, hey, cool song. So that's nice.
Yeah, well, it is a cool song. So do you have anything you'd like to plug? Any shows coming up or anything?
Golly. I don't think so. I'm just going to, I will plug my YouTube page. I love people to go check some stuff out. I've got about 40, maybe 42 original tunes up on the page. Some live stuff that I've done. It's pretty simple. If you want to find it, just go to YouTube and type in Burblesbelly. Burblesbelly, Burblesbelly, one word. And amazingly, I'm the only Burblesbelly on YouTube.
I was going to say, great branding, because there can't be another one of those out there.
I am the only Burblesbelly, so if you go to YouTube and you type in Burblesbelly, you will find my website, my YouTube channel. And boy, I'd love for you to take a listen and subscribe if you want. Everything's, I've just got, like I say, it's all original stuff, and the Sasquatch song is the one that plays when you open up the website, so the channel, so you'll know you're on the right one if you start hearing an Average Sasquatch at large playing. So that's about it. I've got my YouTube page, and that's about it. A couple shows coming up on Whidbey Island here, but not till August. So, but the YouTube page, sure, love to get some traffic there.
Okay. All right, I'm going to move on to news and our second song. I have a pre-recorded interview with the other artist this week. You want to stick around for the rest of the show, or are you going to take off?
I'll go ahead and take off. I'll let you go ahead and do what you need to do, and I'll just say thank you again, Tom. This has been a real pleasure for me, and just a real delight to be on the FuMP. And I'll send you some more stuff, and maybe we'll chat again.
Yep, looking forward to it. Thanks so much for coming on.
All right, take care. Thank you.
All right, take care.
This is the FuMP.
Just down the cup of iocane, I can't explain. It's inconceivable.
Use some mixer in my booze. They keep on giving me a little 7-Up.
That's the Funny Music Project at thefump.com. THEFUMP.com.
Tip me over and my change falls out. My spout is connected to all of my pockets, my articulations, and all of my sockets. Hey there, Mr. Macchiato Face. You got a coffee mouth and you're a big disgrace. I grind up the beans.
Time for funny music news. Something.
In the news, Jeff Whitmire has launched a new IndieGogo to fund his new album. It's going to be a double album called Direct to Video, because it's his second album. Get it? It's Direct to Video. Actually, I have the album art, so there. He's looking to raise $8,000. This is a flexible campaign, so he will get to receive whatever he raises. He's currently at $585 with 30 days left. He says the 2 CDs are packed with songs that have either been released in early demo form and songs that are entirely new to the album that backers will be the first to experience. Movies being covered this time around include Halloween, Child's Play, The Blair Witch Project, Terrifier 2, and a ton of surprises, including a rather big movie coming out later this year. Go to IndieGogo.com and search for Jeff Whitmire if you would like to get involved. And the FuMP Documentary posted a teaser video recently. They announced that they have wrapped up on shooting and now have 35 hours of footage to go through that they need to edit down to a watchable length. They say it's a slow process and they're not expecting to have anything viewable for at least 3 to 4 months. And I have the teaser footage here, so I'm going to play it for you.
Oh, okay, that is so much better.
Yay! Now I don't look like a mime.
Great. Alright, we got this, and then quick tour of over here.
Yeah.
And then I think we'll have to wrap it up and keep going.
Makes sense to me.
Yeah.
Whatever you need, brother. Alright.
Ready? When you're ready.
Sure.
I don't know how to use the bidet my wife bought, and now I'm simply too scared to ask. I'd figure it out if I gave it some thought. It just sprays water right up your ass. But what if it's too cold or I can't get the angle right?
It doesn't have to be crap. No, a big part of FuMP is the DIY stuff.
Yeah.
That's, I think, a big appeal of it, is anyone could do it, anyone could submit a song. Like, it's just a supportive community. And so I think GarageBand's easy to use. You can use it. There's no shame.
Yeah.
You guys are...
I'm a big ends justifies the means kind of guy when it comes to recording stuff. So
Exactly.
But yeah, I'm glad I had that as a stepping stone to Logic.
So I will say that last part again. It's a celebration of all things nerd and geek and dweeb and weirdo and strange. Dr. Strange. Dr. Stephen Strange.
That was perfect. All right, we have one final question for you.
Awesome.
And then, would you want to perform a song?
Absolutely.
That clip and some additional behind-the-scenes footage and photos can be found on their YouTube or Instagram page, both of which are at Love the FuMP Film. So look them up. I'm very much looking forward to this. All right, that's it for news. I was hoping to be able to announce the FuMPFest guest of honor, and it didn't happen. Hopefully soon. All right, tour dates. On Sundays in Nashville, Tennessee, Steve Goody hosting at the Bluebird. On Sundays, online, 2 Sleeps. Mondays, online, Steve Goody and Brad Tassel at virtualcomedyshow.com. Mondays and Tuesdays, online, Bill Larkin. The 31st through the 2nd in Charlotte, North Carolina, Mikey Mason. On the 2nd in Denver, Colorado, Bolognium. On the 5th in Nashville, Tennessee, Steve Goody. On the 7th in Atlanta, Georgia, Steve Goody. On the 7th in Elizaville, New York, Drew Jacobs. On the 9th in Portland, Oregon, Chris Waffle. And on the 9th on YouTube, Escape from the Secret Lab featuring the Consortium of Genius. All right. Our second song this week comes to us from Howie Newman. Here is Cosmic Garbageman Rag.
If you take a trip on a rocket ship some warm September day, all you'd see is garbage messing up our Milky Way. Now scientists are curious folks, but you think they've had enough? Well, they shoot this stuff out into space, but no one cleans it up. Loose antennas, floating wires, burned out engines, lunar tires. I'm the one who picks it up in my cosmic garbage truck. Solar panels, busted sockets, wayward capsules, retro rockets. the man with the can. I'm your cosmic garbage man. Being a cosmic garbage man, I really can't complain. It's always nice and quiet, and there's never any rain. Pay is good, the hours ain't bad, got a pension plan to boot. I really don't mind the meteorites, but it's too far to commute. Loose antennas, floating wires, burned out engines, lunar tires. I'm the one who picks it up. And my cosmic garbage truck, solar panels, busted sockets, wayward capsules, retro rockets. The man with the can, I'm your cosmic garbage man. Places nowadays beyond man's wildest dreams. But no matter where you go in life, someone's gotta clean. Loose antennas, floating wires, burned out engines, lunar tires. I'm the one who picks it up in my cosmic garbage truck. Solar panels, busted sockets, wayward capsules, retro rockets. The man with the can, I'm your cosmic garbage man. The man with the can, I'm your cosmic garbage man.
I'm here with Howie Newman. How you doing, Howie?
Good. How are you?
Good. Good to see you again. So, tell us about the Cosmic Garbage Man.
Well, actually, it's a remake of a really old song I wrote back in the '70s, and it was actually on my very first record of any kind. It was a 45 RPM single, and we recorded it live in concert, and actually the B side, the other side of it got to be more popular, but it did get some airplay. But I got the idea for doing it. I was reading an article or something about garbage in outer space, and I thought, well, it's about time we hired somebody to clean it up out there. So I wrote the song, and the original recording was just me and a bass player and a drummer. And I played a little harmonica too. So when we redid it for my latest album, we had sort of a bluegrassy feel to it. It was mandolin and fiddle and drums and bass and backup singers and everything else. So
it was a full, much bigger production this time around.
Yeah, and people always, throughout the years, I mean, it's been around for a long time. Throughout the years, people have always told me that it's kind of a cool song. So I figured we would redo it.
It is a cool song, and it deals with an issue that's a growing problem.
Right. I mean, it's half serious and half funny, I think.
Yeah.
We're shooting all this stuff into outer space, and there's got to be a limit somewhere.
Yeah, well, space is huge, but there is a lot of space junk out there. So much so that NASA has a program that maps as much of it as they possibly can, so that, space, the rockets and satellites and stuff that they send up don't crash into this orbiting debris.
So, and on that album, we did a few other songs too on that album that. Songs where I didn't particularly like the arrangements or when I originally recorded some of them, it was way back in the '70s before we had all this modern technology and stuff. So I was really happy with, the way the album came out. It's called "It Sure Beats Working," which is about my appreciation of being able to play music full time. And, so
that's great. So how'd you do it originally? Was it on reel-to-reel tape?
Yeah, it was actually on a reel-to-reel tape, and if I remember correctly, we had to rent the tape because the tape was so expensive back then. We rented the tape, so I never had I don't have an original tape version of it, although we made it into an MP3, and that original recording was available on a CD at some point also, actually my first CD. But yeah, we had I think it was a half-inch tape or something like that, or an inch tape.
I've never heard of renting reel-to-reel tape. That's
yeah, we did that. We did. I mean, I didn't when I first started. This is like literally my first recording.
Yeah,
and when it was a whole process, when you mastered the thing and then you shipped it off to New York to have the master made, and then had to ship it off someplace else to have the actual records made. So I do remember I think actually we may have done that on quarter inch. Actually, since we did it live, maybe we didn't do it on rent the tape. Maybe we just did it on a quarter inch reel-to-reel machine, and did it that way. I remember the first time I went in the studio though, we rented the tape.
That's fascinating.
But back then everything was like, I remember renting a VCR back in the '70s also, because they were like $800 a piece.
Yeah.
And I had some TV shows that I had done, and I wanted to show them to my family at Thanksgiving, so we rented a VCR for the day. It was like $25.
Huh.
I'm giving away my age here, so that's the way it is,
Well, you mentioned recording in the '70s. I think that kind of gives it away.
Yeah. Yeah. It was pretty exciting to do recordings and have records out and stuff like that. And actually, back then, it was easier to get stuff on the radio than it is today.
Oh yeah, I'm sure.
A lot of independent radio stations that would actually listen to independent recording, and
now it's all owned by Clear Channel, and the DJs don't have any say over what gets played.
Right.
So, is this a new album that you're putting out?
Yeah, I had a new album come out last year.
Okay.
Actually, I came out with a new album this year as well, an EP, but last year called It Sure Beats Working. And it's a remake. We redid two or three songs, and then a lot of new songs that hadn't been recorded yet. And I had a couple of political songs that I recorded back in 2019, one of which is called Lies, 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 which is about a former president. I don't know. You might be able to guess who it is. But so it's a lot of different stuff on the album, and it's been very, very well received. I've sold a bunch of them, and very happy with it. And then this year I came out with my third baseball EP. I Baseball's Greatest Hits Volume 1, 2, and 3, and this has some new songs on it, plus the baseball songs from some previous albums.
So it's all songs about baseball?
Yeah, because I originally did it. Baseball's Greatest Hits Volume 1 was came out as a CD. It was originally done as a 7-inch vinyl disc, and then we remastered it into a CD in 2001. And it's all baseball songs. And then Volume 2 came out in 2008, and all 6 baseball songs. And then this was 5 baseball songs, because I'm a baseball nut.
Apparently,
and, I'm wearing my Trenton Thunder T-shirt here from Trenton Thunder, the Eastern League minor league team, and so it's sort of. I was a songwriter for a long time. I was a sports writer for 18 years. So the worlds collided, and I wrote about like 15 baseball songs. So
that's really cool.
It seems it's easier to sell them. I mean. Online sales of the baseball songs are much more than the online sales of the other stuff. I guess people can Google it and find it, and it's kind of a little bit of a niche in there.
Yeah, it sounds like it would be. So is there going to be a Volume 4?
I don't know if I'll live that long, but we'll see. I haven't written any new baseball songs lately.
Oh,
so
okay.
It's nothing's impossible.
Did you ever do like a song adaptation of Who's on First?
I didn't do that, but for about 10 years, I did this radio show in Worcester, Mass on WICN. And it was a 4-hour baseball show. We did all baseball music, and that was a staple of the show. Had the Who's on First rendition.
Yeah.
By Abbott and Costello.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I grew up watching Abbott and Costello, and I absolutely loved them. They were a huge influence on everything I do.
That explains a lot of things.
Doesn't it?
And then there's also this thing, I forget who did it, but it was like a sort of a modern adaptation of that, and it used rock and roll bands.
Yeah, the Who's on First, the Guess Who's on Second, and Yes was on third.
Yeah, and then some other bands, I forget.
Yeah, I forget who did that, but that got played on Dr. Demento, and I remember really liking that. I thought that was great. All right, so do you have anything you'd like to plug?
Any plugs?
Yeah.
Well, the new albums, 2023, It Sure Beats Working. That's a full-length album. It's got 11 songs on it. And then the new baseball album, Baseball's Greatest Hits Volume 3, came out a few months ago. And for those of you who are in the greater Boston area, I play in a duo called Knock on Wood. And we do some of my songs, some of my funny songs, some other songs. We do a lot of classic rock. We don't. It's an acoustic duo. I play guitar and sing, and my partner plays fiddle and mandolin. And we don't do any folk music. We do a lot of classic rock stuff. We do like Tom Petty, Dire Straits, and stuff like that, and Eagles and things like that. We have a really good time, and there is some humor infused into that. We do a few of the baseball songs too, but if you're in the greater Boston area, we do actually go to southern Maine and southern New Hampshire as well. You should check out my website, howienewman.com, and I'll tell you where we're going to be. We have a lot of fun doing those shows, and we'd love to invite some of the listeners out.
All right, sounds good. All right, well, thank you for joining us. And we will catch up.
My pleasure.
Next time. All right, thanks, man.
Thank you for promoting humorous music.
Hey, somebody's got to do it.
Yeah. Take care.
Making the internet absolutely ridiculous. Dementia Radio.
www.dementiaradio.org. Port 8027.
Please hang up and try again.
This is the part where there's feedback.
Feedback.
Feedback. You know that segment of the show we do about now?
Feedback. Feedback.
Feedback.
Feedback.
Draconosaurus. Draconosaurus. Draconosaurus.
Draconis wrote, have you seen the Obscrest Vinyl and Honest Betsy on Instagram? The first has strange and not safe for work songs from the 40s to the 80s, and Honest Betsy is her reaction to comedy songs. I have not seen those. I'll have to look those up. Also, since Atari bought Intellivision, does that mean a stupid rap battle where Intellivision versus ColecoVision with Atari popping in near the end of the song? I'm sure somebody will do that. Not me. For my stupid rap battles, it needs to be stupider than that. I need something like a broken Atari paddle versus something else. But yeah. All right. Thank you, Draconis. A-Log!
Oh my god, it's you, not again!
A-Log wrote, ooh, a mystery guest of honor for FuMPFest. Consider me intrigued. And speaking of new artists to the FuMP, I still wonder if you'll ever get in touch with any of the old acts that used to have their stuff on Dr. Demento. Join the FuMP under that comeback initiative idea I told you about back in FuMPFest 2019. I still believe that many of these artists who are still active elsewhere could benefit with their works being introduced to a new generation of fans. Honestly, I forgot about that. I do remember you mentioning that now that you brought it up here. Part of the issue is that a lot of the artists who are still active are too big for us. They don't need us. And a lot of the acts who are roughly the same size as us aren't active anymore. So I don't think there's as many of them out there as you think there are. But if you want to reach out to any of them and point them our way, we'd be happy to have them. And Dizman of Dead by 28 wrote, Alf is my favorite alien life form. Followed by, I caught the WKRP in Cincinnati reference, to which Dead by 28, who I'm assuming is Keymaster, replied, didn't that star Dick Buttram? And then Dizman also says, I wanted to say I would like to bring back Blue Screen, but I can't because of Keymaster. Yeah, because of his makeup. All right. That's all the feedback we got for this week.
Teasing. He's a teasing kind of guy. Now you have a job.
Yeah. Tomorrow's song is by Ethan Moyer. And Tuesday's song is by Gail Gallagher. And this week's Spotify playlist topic, I think I'm going to try to do criminals if I can find enough songs for reasons that, yeah. So, yeah. All right, look up Burblesbelly on YouTube, and Howie Newman, I believe, is at howienewman.com. And hopefully Luke Ski will be back with us next week. Thank you for listening to the Funny Music Podcast. I'm Devo Spice. Luke isn't here, and Burblesbelly was. We didn't get to see his cat, unfortunately. Oh well.
Thank you for listening to the Funny Music Podcast. You can listen live every Thursday night at 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 Pacific at DementiaRadio.org and join us in the chat. Or subscribe to the podcast feed. Look us up on iTunes and be sure to leave us a review. Feedback for the show can be sent to info@thefump.com. The Funny Music Podcast is a production of Fidem Interactive, LLC, released under a Creative Commons share-alike license. Tell your friends, tell your enemies, shout it to random people on the street, and be sure to visit thefump.com for the latest funny songs. Tune in next week where you'll hear Luke Ski say,
there was a cat?